Day 4 is done, and today was a fun day because I was able to talk about cybersecurity and business and how these kind of link together. So, in front of a bunch of people who are not cybersecurity experts, but experts in their own fields. And I covered a lot of the things that I feel are important, such as hackers aren't criminals, very, very obvious for everyone in InfoSec. The financials that might be associated with a breach and discuss target and Equifax. And a really fun part of this was a financial person came to me afterwards and said, hey, there might be something more to this. Let's look into it. As in, I might have made a huge glaring error, which will be great because it will be a great learning opportunity for me. And then I was able to teach at least 8 people how to lockpick for the first time. So that was really fun to do. The cases were also great today. We covered some finances, and then the other part was looking at the different lenses in business to look at, whether it's economic, the laws, ethics, and society, and how to balance those out so that you can make sure you are doing something good for not only the company, short term, long term, but also for society. And so often these things come in conflict, and today's case was no exception. We discussed a lot of the areas behind the different thoughts of privacy on the internet in particular, and kind of the balance between that and security as defined by the laws of a country. So that was a really fun case to go over, just because of my job and our interests as InfoSec community. So today we're discussing intimacy, and it's a little bit weird to talk about intimacy in the workplace because normally when you talk about intimacy, you're talking about a spouse or a loved one, as opposed to your directs or your subordinates. If you're talking about intimacy with those people, you typically are going to HR and something bad is about to happen. But if you take a step back and start looking at it as a scale, you can go from like a 1 to 10 thing where what you discuss with the spouse might be more along the lines of 8, 9, 10s. Whereas what you discuss at the workplace might be like a 1s or 2s. So like if you're having trouble with a project, bringing that up and having that confidence to be able to talk about these things at the workplace might be a 1 or 2. And that helps bring in some transparency and understanding of how that would work. We had a back and forth where we quickly met someone completely new, discussed our vulnerabilities and kind of gave another. And it was very interesting because you are very hesitant to expose yourself and tell about one of your vulnerabilities and kind of lay it out there. But you're almost excited for them to do that for you. And so this fear of judgment at the end of the day, after you expose your vulnerability to that other person, you find is probably unwarranted, is not that big of a deal. And then if it helps build that trust with this person, and now this person is like someone I want to go talk to later tonight, it seems like a great tool to use as you're going through your life to really let people know how you're feeling and push some things forward. And even perhaps even go deeper as you start working and feel like, oh, I don't think I'm very afraid for this presentation because I'm afraid of how it would impact my career and how it's going to go that way, or bring up some things at your personal life. I think this helps build camaraderie, and it's not as big of a deal to be this level of intimate with some of your coworkers. Now let's take this a step further. What happens if I was to be more intimate with you on the other side of the camera? Now, I wouldn't start with something earth-shattering. I wouldn't talk about, hey, a illness in the family or something along those lines, but something that's more, which would be a 10, something more of like a 1 or 2. And so my 2 that I would discuss with everyone and just kind of throw out there is I still have a feeling similar to high school of really wanting to be included in everything. And so we have a WhatsApp group for our class at Harvard Business School, and there's lots of people on it. And it really throws me off, and it makes me envious, I believe is the right word for it, or makes me feel icky in some which way when there are photos of people out there having fun, and I'm not there. And I understand rationally why I just wasn't there at the time. But when I go back and look at these pictures, I'm like, I feel bad as if they didn't have me there for some reason. And there's this self-doubt that's there. And so being able to share that and tell that is helpful because it helps me rationalize it and realize that's probably not that true. If it is true, hopefully they will tell me after watching this video, and then I will brush my teeth more or take a longer shower. But it helps me rationalize so that I can take care of that and hopefully solve these things in the future. And then we're able to work more closely together as we move forward in this program. So those are the big leadership lessons I learned today, and I think are very valuable, and I need to remember as I go back to the normal daily grind.